Okay, so everybody has their pain threshold, and I found mine. It is midnight, 12:12, and just was walking around Chinatown, and I'm soaking wet. My jacket's just completely soaked through my feet, everything, and I'm really, really, really cold. And the camera, just the viewfinder started fogging up. Couldn't see what I was focusing on. So I shot 22 frames on this roll. I was really hoping to finish it, but it was not meant to be. So our friend the Q train's coming in, and I'm heading home. I'm gonna take a nice long hot shower. We'll see what we got, and when I get them out of the tank and scan them, take a look at them. Woo! Whole night. Whole night. You know, Leica owners get shit, kind of justifiably so, for being a little prissy about their cameras. And the reason why I say justifiably so is because, you know, you have all these kind of accessories that a lot of owners put on their cameras. You know, they buy $1,000 Oberworth bag to put their M in. They buy straps that are a couple of $100s. They buy half cases to put the cameras in. Shutter release buttons that are made out of gold or titanium that cost hundreds of dollars. You know, there's all these kind of accessories and bling and jewelry to kind of protect the camera and to turn it into something, to elevate it somehow, you know, beyond what it is, which is a tool for creativity. And, you know, I get that. There's a lot of kind of, you know, making it your own, being an individual. And hey, if you want to pimp your camera, cool. But for me, and I've certainly been guilty of that in the past, I've bought those things over the years, but I've gotten to a place where I treat my camera like a tool for creativity. And if that means taking it out and kind of subjecting it to conditions or treatment that are not conducive to keeping it spotlessly perfect, like a Fabergé egg, in order to get a picture, then I'm going to do that. And so that's what this video is about. And this is your first time on the channel, my name's Jim McDermott. I'm a New York City based photographer. I've been shooting with Leica cameras on and off for over 30 years. They're not the only type of cameras that I'm shooting with or have shot with over the years. Today I have my MP with me. But I'm going to talk about taking this actual camera out in a snowstorm and freezing it while I was shooting in order to get some pictures. I don't know how the winter was where you are this year, but in New York it was tucking ferrible. We had many weeks where we never got out of the 20s, and you know that meant when you wanted to shoot, going out and wearing long underwear, heated vest, multiple layers, gloves, hats, scarves, balaclava, all the shit just to go out. And it made it really tough to shoot consistently through the winter. And, you know, just like working out or whatever, you know, if you put it down for a little while, when you come back to it, you're rusty. So I like to keep the muscle flexible. So I went out and shot in those conditions. And I wanted to kind of keep my mind and my visual eye attuned so that when the spring came, when the nice weather came, that I was ready to go. So I went out and I shot no matter what the weather was like. And as a matter of fact, I shot in some pretty heinous weather conditions. And the photos that I'm going to share with you in this video today were taken at night during a serious blizzard that we had here. Temperatures got really, really low. It was super damp. I think it got down to around 9 degrees or something like that. And it was wet. just really cold. And I knew that if I went out when it was actively snowing and it was nighttime and it wasn't too late, that I could get some really interesting pictures. But I did have some second thoughts about it because I don't want to kill my camera, and I knew it was going to be really, really wet. So my first thought was, okay, I'm not going to take any medium format cameras out of me because they're just too fiddly to load, and you got to change film every 12 shots on the Rolleies and the Mamiyas that I use. So, and I've taken my Leica R9s out before with me, but they're kind of electronically complicated. They can't really be repaired. If they get messed up, you just got to trash them. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to take my MP out because I know the MP is just like a simple camera. It's got a meter in it, but even if the meter died, I could still just use an external meter and shoot with it. It's a simple camera to use, and it's rugged. I mean, throughout the history of photography, there's a reason why Leica M's have been in conflicts and been in the shit and have gotten great results over the years. It's a very reliable camera. So I took it out in the blizzard, and it was challenging to use because I wear glasses, and when it was, there was a lot of moisture in the air, so my glasses were completely covered in water droplets. The lens was covered in water droplets. And then there's a little viewfinder window here. These were all, you need all of these to kind of line things up in the seat. These were all covered in moisture. And at one point during the evening, I'd been out for so long that the dials on the top of the camera were so covered in moisture, and it was so cold that it started to freeze, and the camera started to become encased in ice in different places. So I would have to kind of put it up to my mouth, breathe on the dials to free up the bits of ice loose so that I could change the shutter speed. And that was pretty tough. I walked for 8 miles in the blizzard. I shot, I think, 2 rolls of film, for maybe 2.5 rolls of film, maybe. I only stopped because my rangefinder window, the moisture somehow was on the inside of the camera in the rangefinder window. So I couldn't line up the 2 images that you need to line up to get proper focus, because it was just, I'm like wiping the outside of the window and it was foggy. I'm like, why is this not going away? And it was just that there was just so much moisture in the air and so much coldness, and I guess it was the difference in temperature between the camera and the atmosphere, that it fogged up inside. And I couldn't focus, so I had to call it a night. And I was like, oh shit, did I wreck my camera? Is the film gonna be wet? Blah, 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 blah. You know what? Put it on a shelf, went to bed, woke up the next morning, took the roll out of the camera, looked at the window. Everything was fine. I've been shooting with the camera since then. Everything's fine. So I literally encased this camera in ice and got it pretty friggin' wet. Lens is wet. Viewfinder's wet. I was completely soaked by the time I got home, and took a long bath because I was just frozen to the bone. But I don't treat this camera like a trailer queen. I don't know if you've heard that expression before, but there's an expression in cars, like, in fancy cars or sports cars or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, that's a trailer queen. It's like somebody who basically takes a car to a show, rolls it off a trailer, shows it, has it judged, whatever, lets everybody see it, ooh and ah, and then they roll it back on the trailer and bring it home. But the wheels never touch the road, and so it just doesn't get any wear and tear. And that's not my philosophy about how I want to use my cameras. What I want to do with my cameras is just use them like the tools that they are. And so this MP, as a result, has a couple of nicks here and there. I mean, it still looks really clean. It's not one of the black paint cameras that look all beautiful when they start brassing. It's a silver MP, so it's not going to get the it's going to wear easier than a black paint one. But I'm not trying to be that Leica guy who wants to show up and have people go, ooh, is that a Leica and all that. I mean, I've been there. I've done that. I mean, I shot Leica back in the 90s when people were like, what is that, some old camera? And it did not have the halo at all with the general public that Leica does now. I mean, Leica's done a really good job making people think that like their cameras are kind of jewelry. And I can understand wanting to keep your camera perfect, especially if it's a digital camera, because you might want to resell it at some point and get whatever the latest greatest is. For me, this MP, I mean, unless I'm completely financially destitute and I desperately need to sell it, like, there's nothing I'm going to replace this with. They're not going to come out with a better version of a Leica MP, you know? They might come out with a different version, something in a different color or some new feature. Maybe I'll get one that has like a different viewfinder that works better with longer or shorter or wider lenses. But you know, it is what it is. That's what's great about shooting film, is that you get off the upgrade train. It's just like, it is what it is. You don't have to replace it. So I'm not really worried about it getting, you know, scratched, dented, whatever, because what I hope is I'll keep it and shoot it until I fucking die with it in my hands out in the street somewhere or whatever. Or I just give it to my kids, and hopefully film will be still affordable by people other than billionaires, and you know, maybe one of them will be interested in shooting with it, or maybe it'll just go in the attic and one of my grandkids will want to shoot with it. But anyway, the pictures in this video were all taken in a blizzard, freezing cold, soaking wet, and with me just using this camera for what it's supposed to be used for, taking pictures. And there's something to be said for going out in adverse weather conditions when it's soaking wet, when you're uncomfortable, when you don't really know what you're going to get results-wise, and just saying, I'm just going to shoot, and having the confidence that you're going to get something good, and then seeing what you got. I think that some of these pictures are some of the best pictures I've ever taken with this camera. It's funny because I shot a lot around the Times Square area, and I never shoot down there, but because it's just touristy and cheesy. But there was none of that in the middle of a blizzard. It was a ghost town, but all the lights were out, all the neon was out. And so the lens, having all these water droplets all over it, when all these, like the lights of Broadway, etc., hit the spots, it kind of created, it refracted, it went all over the place. And so in the frame, you'll see on some of the photographs these kind of like water droplets kind of picking up color and just kind of spreading them around. And I shot most, if not all of these photographs on Cinestill 800T, which kind of also, because of halation, tends to exaggerate certain colors and the effect of light in the photographs. So anyway, I hope you enjoy these pictures. If you have a Leica, I get treating it like it's a newborn baby, but just remember, there were people jumping into trenches with these things, and in the middle of wars and all sorts of shit with Leica M's. And they didn't look at them like some kind of, fashion accessory. They looked at them as tools. Like, it's a fucking hammer, Like, if I'm on the street, if I ever get into it with somebody, the first thing I would do is smack him with this, because this thing's heavy and it's sturdy and, made of brass or whatever. And it's a tool. It's not a piece of jewelry. And hey, if you want to pimp your Leica, if you want to treat it like a piece of jewelry, whatever makes you happy. I'm not saying that people can't, enjoy their shit and bling it out. But at the end of the day, what's most important is the pictures you take with the thing. So that's my piece. If you have any questions about shooting in shitty weather, shooting at night, shooting in the snow, using the Leica MP, any of the photographs that I took here, hit me up in the comments below. Thanks again for stopping by. I'm not going to tell you to like and subscribe, because if you thought that this was good, you're going to do that anyway. But I appreciate anybody who watches this video, and if you have any questions, I'm here. Just ask, all right? Peace.